Hello, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. Sit down, please. I'd like to speak English today too, to improve my speaking skill. Let's get it started. Today it is July 29th, 2022. It's on Friday. It's sunny outside. When I was a undergraduate student at a university, I often stayed up late at night. I would often stay up at night. I would often stay late at night. I would often stay late at night. When I was an university student, undergraduate student. When I was an undergraduate student, I would often stay late at night. I would often stay late at night. I would often stay late at night. When I was an undergraduate, I would often stay late at night. When I was an undergraduate, I would often stay late at night. When I was an undergraduate, I used to stay late at night. I would often stay late at night. When I was an undergraduate, I would often stay late at night. I would often stay late at night. I would often stay late at night. When I was an undergraduate, I would often stay late at night. When I was an undergraduate, I would often stay late at night. When I was an undergraduate, I would often stay late at night. When I was an undergraduate student, when I was an undergraduate student, I would often stay late at night. When I was an undergraduate student, I would often stay late at night. I didn't go on to get the master's degree, but I finished as a bachelor's degree. I didn't go on to get the master's degree. I was researching with a graduate student. I was researching together with a graduate student. I was researching with a graduate student. When I was an undergraduate student, I would often stay late at night. How was your life like? How was your life like? How was your life like? How was your university life like? How was your undergraduate 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 life like? I saw some undergraduates playing tennis at the court when I went to the university for examination. I saw some undergraduates playing tennis in the court. I saw some undergraduates playing tennis in the court. As far as I know, the store will open no earlier than 9 o'clock a.m. 9 o'clock a.m. As far as I know, the store will open no earlier than 9 a.m. As far as I know, the store will open no earlier than 8 a.m. As far as I know, the store will open no earlier than 8 a.m. As far as I know, the store will open no earlier than 8 a.m. As far as I know, the store will open no earlier than 6 a.m. Please submit the document to us no later than Friday. And we have to leave our place no later than 6 o'clock a.m. to reach the destination by noon. And we should leave here no later than 5 o'clock a.m. in order to get to the destination by noon. We usually have snow no earlier than December. We usually have snow here no earlier than December. We will have snow no earlier than December here. We usually have snow no earlier than December. We usually have snow no earlier than December. Are you interested in philosophy? What is philosophy? What does philosophist do usually? What do philosophists usually do? I'd like to know what the philosophists usually do. His way of thinking is always often philosophical. He is interested in something philosophical. I saw many books related to philosophy, concerning philosophy, with regard to philosophy, regarding philosophy, with respect to philosophy, in respect to philosophy, in regard to philosophy. There were many philosophical books in the bookshelves in his room. There were many philosophical books in the bookshelves in his room. I was surprised at that. I was taken by surprise by the number of books related to philosophy. philosophical, philosophical approach to the problems, philosophical approach to the problem, philosophical approach to the problem, philosophical approach to the problem, philosophical approach to the problem might be good, can be good. Philosophical approach to the problems might be good. Philosophical, 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 philosophical. Philosophical way of thinking might be helpful in the process of our lives, in the course of our lives. Philosophical, philosophical. There were many philosophical books in the bookshelves in his room. Are you good at delivering your speech? Telling your opinions at a debate? Are you good at making a speech at a debate? Are you good at debating in the conference? Are you good at making a speech, delivering your speech at the debate? Are you good at delivering your opinions at the speech, at the debate? There are many issues to be solved. There are many issues to be solved. There are many issues to be solved. Can you understand the theory? Can you understand the Einstein's theory? There are many theories we cannot know. It might work in theory, but in practice it might not work. Have you ever experienced it? Have you ever experimented it? It might work in theory, but it might not work in practice. The cruise ship has a capacity of accommodating as many as 3,000 people, guests. The cruise ship has the capacity of accommodating as many as 3,000 guests. This car has the capacity of accommodating as many as 8 passengers. This machine has a capacity of disposing of 1 million pet bottles and cans a day. This machine has a capacity of dealing with many documents. This hard disk has a capacity of 2 terabytes. This hard disk has the capacity of 2 terabytes. This hard disk has the capacity of 2 terabytes. The cargo vessel has the capacity of carrying 1,000 tons of cargoes at once. The cruise ship has the capacity of accommodating as many as 2,000 guests at once. This car has the capacity of accommodating as many as 8 people. This car has the capacity of accommodating up to 8 people. The cargo vessel had the capacity of accommodating up to 50 passengers. The boat has the capacity of accommodating as many as 50 people. The boat has the capacity of accommodating up to 50 passengers. The hard disk has the capacity of 50 terabytes. Awesome. The USB memory, the USB card has the capacity of 500 gigabytes. The USB stick has a capacity of 500 gigabytes. I'm exercising recently in order to stay in shape. In order to be in shape. I'm recently taking exercises. I'm recently taking a walk outside to keep in shape, to stay in shape, to remain in shape, to hold in shape, to keep in shape, to stay in shape, to remain in shape. Do you want to be a philosopher? I'd like to know what philosophers usually do. I'd like to know what philosophers usually do. I'd like to know what philosophers usually do. To become a philosopher was my dream. To become an astronaut was my dream. Astronaut. To become an astronomer is my dream. Philosopher, physicist, physics, physicist, physician, surgeon, mathematics, mathematician. What does philosopher usually do? What do philosophers usually do? Philosopher, what do philosophers usually do? What do philosophers usually do? What do philosophers usually do? What philosophers usually do? What do philosophers usually do? Philosopher, 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 philosopher. Have you ever engaged in tourism industry? Have you ever engaged in tourism industry? Have you ever engaged in volunteer activity? Have you ever engaged in volunteer activities? Have you ever engaged in something volunteer activities? Have you ever engaged in something a volunteer activity? Have you ever engaged in something volunteer activity? Have you ever engaged in something volunteer activity? A volunteer activity. I have been engaged in educational industry. I have been engaged in educational activity. Educational and industry. Educational industry. Educational field. Educational industry. Educational industry. I've engaged in an educational industry. I've engaged in educational industry. Have you ever engaged in an educational industry? Have you ever engaged in an educational industry? Have you ever engaged in an educational industry? Have you ever engaged in educational industry? Have you ever engaged in an educational industry? Yes, I've engaged in an educational industry. Yes, I've engaged in a volunteer activity. I've engaged in volunteer activity. I've engaged in a volunteer activity. I have to engage myself in the study whole day in order to get the qualification. I engaged myself almost everything in the studying in order to get the qualification, and I finally got it. I engaged in the volunteer activity yesterday. I will engage myself only in the studying tomorrow. I will engage myself only in the studying tomorrow. There is not much time to prepare for the examination, so I will be obliged, I will be forced. Otherwise, I cannot keep my concentration. You should engage yourself in the study. You should engage yourself in the pursuing your dreams until you achieve it. You should engage yourself in what you have to do now. And we should engage ourselves in what we have to do now. Time is money. We should engage ourselves in what we have to do now. It's that successful people engage themselves in the most difficult problems in the early morning. It is said that successful people engage themselves in solving the most difficult problems in the morning, first in the day. First, in the first place in a day. It is said, they say, successful people engage themselves in dealing with the most difficult tasks, the first in a day. First in a day. It is said that successful people engage themselves in dealing with the most difficult tasks, first in a day. First in the day. It is said that successful people engage themselves in dealing with the most difficult task first in the day. It is said that successful people engage themselves in dealing with the most difficult task in the first place in the day. It is said that successful people engage themselves in solving the most difficult task, dealing with the most difficult task in the first place in the day. I will engage myself in the studying in order to get the qualification. I really want to get it. I engage myself only in the studying on Saturdays and Sundays because I really want to pass examination. Our boss engaged us in the volunteer activities. Coffee helps me engage myself in the tasks when I am not motivated. Coffee helps me to concentrate on something I have to do. Coffee helps me to be concentrated. And coffee helps me concentrated. Helps me to be concentrated. Helps me be concentrated. Coffee helps me to be concentrated. Coffee helps me to be concentrated. Coffee helps me concentrated. Coffee helps me to be concentrated. Coffee helps me be concentrated. Coffee helps me. Coffee helps me to engage myself in what I have to do. Because more motivation thanks to caffeine. Coffee helps me to engage myself in something that I have to do. The both engaged us in the volunteer activity. The government engaged more number of police officers in the area to keep the safety. The government engaged more number of police officers in the area in order to keep the peace. The head of the shop engaged more number of employees in Sundays and Saturdays to meet the demands, to meet the increased number of demands. The head of the shop engaged more employees in Saturdays and Sundays. The head of the store engaged more employees in Saturdays and Sundays to meet the increased number of customers. To cover the increased number of customers, the head of the store engaged more number of employees in Saturdays and Sundays to cover the increased customers. The head of the shop engaged more number of employees in Saturdays and Sundays to cover the increased number of customers. Have you ever engaged in tourism industry? Have you ever engaged in volunteer activity? Have you ever been engaged in a volunteer activity? Is this the engagement ring? Is engagement ring necessary? Is engagement ring necessary? Is it rude to ask the price of the engagement ring? Of course. Is it rude to ask the price of the engagement ring? Even to my friends. Where did you buy your engagement ring? The engagement between him and her was made in 2016. The engagement between the couple will be made soon. When did you get engaged to him? When did you get engaged to him? When did you get engaged to him? We are going to get engaged to each other soon. I got engaged to her. I got engaged to her. I got engaged to her recently. I'd like to get engaged to her. I'd like to get engaged to her. Do you wanna get engaged to him? Do you wanna get engaged to him? Do you wanna get engaged to him? Do you wanna get engaged to her? Do you wanna get married to her? Do you wanna get married to him? do not forget the engagement we made last half a year ago. Please do not forget our engagement that we made half a year ago. We are discussing where we should buy the engagement ring for reasonable price. Reasonable price. We are discussing where we should buy engagement ring. We are discussing where we should buy the engagement ring. Which shops do you recommend? Which stores do you recommend? We want to hold down the price at least 1 million yen, under 1 million yen. 1 million yen at the most. 1 million yen at the most. We don't have much budget, so at 1 million yen at the most. There were more youngsters in my town, but not now. The birth rate is decreasing every year, which means less youngsters. There were more youngsters in my area, but most of them went to urban cities for seeking a job. And there are less youngsters in my area. Youngster, 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 youngster. When I was a youngster, my fashion was more colorful and peculiar and colorful. When I was a youngster, my fashion was more colorful and peculiar, maybe. Peculiar and odd. There are less youngsters in my area. There were more youngsters in my area. Not many people have the ability to pass the examination. Not many people have the ability to play the piece smoothly. I want to have the ability as awesome as you. I want to have as awesome ability as you. I want to have as awesome abilities as you. I want to have awesome abilities as you. I want to have awesome abilities as a professionals. I think the entrance examinations of the University of Tokyo are beyond the reach of my imagination, beyond the reach of my skills, beyond the reach of my abilities. The entrance examinations of the University of Tokyo are beyond my ability. I did my best to the best of my ability, to the best of my knowledge, to my knowledge. The store will open no earlier than 9 a.m. To the best of my knowledge, Lake Biwa is the largest lake in Japan. To the best of my knowledge, there are 4 climbing routes. of Mount Fuji. I did my best. I studied a lot to the best of my ability. I studied a lot and I tried to the best of my ability. I tried to the best of my ability. I tried to the best of my ability. I tried, challenged to the best of my ability. I dealt with the problems to the best of my ability. I dealt with the problems, difficulties, to the best of my ability. I tried 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 to the best of my ability. I did my best to the best of my ability. You should do your best to the best of your ability. You should do your best to the best of your ability. You should do your best to the best of your ability. You should do your best to the best of your ability. You should do your best to the best of your ability. You should do your best to the best of your ability. You should do your best to the best of your ability. You should do your best to the best of your ability. You should do your best to the best of your ability. You should do your best to the best of your ability. I challenged and tried my best. Tried my best. Did my best. To the best of my ability. I challenged, tried to the best of my knowledge, 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 to the best of my ability, to the best of my ability, to the best of my ability, to the best of my ability. So you also should do to the best of your ability. You should do, challenge, try to the best of your ability. And then you can make it. You can achieve it. Did you even try to the best of your ability? Did you even try to the best of your ability? Did you even try to the best of your ability? Did you even try to the best of your ability? To the best of your ability. Did you even try to the best of your ability? Did you even try to the best of your ability? Did you even try to the best of your ability? Did you even try to the best of your ability? Did you even try to the best of your ability? Yes, I did my best. Tried, challenged, to the best of my ability. I did do my best. I did do my best. To the best of my ability. I did do my best. To the best of my ability. I did do my best. To the best of my ability. I did do my best to the best of my ability. I did do my best. I did do my best to the best of my ability. I did do my best to the best of my ability. I'd like to be a man of many abilities. I'd like to be a man of many abilities. I'd like to be a man of many abilities. There are some people, genius people with many abilities. There are some people of many abilities. The human resources are searching for able person, able candidates, able employees. The personal department is looking for candidates, able candidates. There are both able and incompetent employees. There are both competent and incompetent employees. There are both able and incompetent employees. There are both competent 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 and incompetent employees out there. I want to be an able man. 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 I want to be an able person. Able person. I want to be an able person. I want to be an able person. I'd like to be an able person. I'd like to be an able person. I'd like to be an able person. Able. Able. I'd like to be an able person. I'd like to be an able person. Able. I'd like to be an able person. I'd like to be an able person. I'd like to be an able person. Able. I'd like to be an able person. 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 Able. The human resources is looking for able candidates. The personnel department is looking for able candidates. The human resources is looking for able candidates. The personnel department is looking for able candidates. Able. I hope such accidents will not arise anymore. I hope the earthquake will not arouse tsunami. I hope his remarks will not arouse his anger. I hope his remarks will not arouse his anger. I hope his remarks will not raise his anger. I hope his remarks will not cause anger of the citizens. We should prevent the accident before it occurs. We should prevent the accident before it occurs. So in order to occur the accident, we can prepare enough. There are many measures we can take. There are many measures we can take. With enough preparations, we can avoid some accidents. But it does not mean we can avoid many accidents. It is not possible to avoid every accident, but we can reduce the number of accidents by preparing enough. The occurrence of the huge tsunami and earthquake in 2011 should not be forgotten. The occurrence of the tsunami and earthquakes should be remembered and should be passed down to next generation, from generation to generation. Life is very strange. Unexpected occurrence will occur when we are not conscious. I hope good occurrences will occur to you. I hope good occurrences will occur to you. I hope good occurrences will come to you. I hope good occurrences will occur to you. Occurrence, 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 occurrence. And some people say the accident could have been avoided. The occurrence could have been avoided. Some specialists say the occurrence could have been avoided by enough preparation. If you prepared enough, if you had prepared enough, the occurrence could have been avoided. If you had prepared enough, if you had prepared enough, the occurrence could have been avoided. Could have been avoided. Occurrence, 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 occurrence. I cannot recall my childhood without getting depressed. I cannot look back on my childhood without being flushed. How is your childhood like? 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 Were you hooligans? Were you a hooligan when you in childhood? I cannot recall my childhood without getting depressed. How is your adolescence like? How is your adolescence like? How was your adolescence like? Everyone wants to be cool in adolescence. Everyone wants to be cool in adolescence. How is your adolescence like? 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 How was your adolescence like? If I could restart my adolescence, I would study more. If I could restart my life from adolescence, I would study more and prepare enough to enter to achieve my goals. Adolescence. How was your adolescence like? Adolescent period is very important for their growth. There are many adolescent problems. How could you overcome adolescent problems? How could you get over adolescent problems? How could you get through adolescent problems? How could you deal with your adolescent problems? How did you deal with adolescent problems? Adolescent. How did you deal with adolescent problems? 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 How could 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 you deal with adolescent problems? Adolescent. If I could restart from my adolescent period, I would study more. I will try not to make a mistake. Everyone doesn't want to make a mistake in adolescent period. Especially in adolescent period. They want to be cool. Everyone doesn't want to make a mistake, especially in adolescent period, adolescent year. Adolescent period. Adolescent. Everyone doesn't want to make a mistake, especially during adolescent period, adolescent era. Everybody doesn't want to make a mistake, especially in adolescent period, adolescent era. My adolescent year period was very hard. My adolescent times were so harsh, rigid, rigorous. Predicament. My adolescent period was predicament, mayhem, chaos. Predicament. Horrible, awful. How was your adolescent period like? How was your adolescent period like? How did you deal with adolescent problems? How did you deal with adolescent problems? How did you get over adolescent problems? How did you get through adolescent problems? Adolescent. 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 adolescent, 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 adolescent times were so hard for me. 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 Adolescent period was the most difficult to overcome for me. Adolescent period was the hardest for me ever. Adolescent period was the worst in my life ever. Adolescent life was so hard. Adolescent life was so hard. Adolescent period was so hard. Adolescent. There are many adolescent problems. I try to accept different opinions. But in this case, I cannot accept your rude attitude. You frowned and looked away, turned away. Regarding the acceptability of the company, it might be difficult to enter in this situation. Some people are with good acceptability. Some people are with acceptability, good acceptability, and lenient. Regarding the acceptability, in terms of the acceptability, given the current situation, the number of new employees the companies will hire will be reduced because of the recession. In terms of acceptability of new employees, the number will be reduced. Acceptability, 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 acceptability. Acceptability of inbounds are welcomed. In order to help the economy, acceptability of foreign tourists are welcome. Acceptability of a lot of new employees, a great number of employees might be negative in some companies given the current situation. Acceptability of different opinions is important. Acceptability of other opinions is sometimes important. Acceptability of other cultures is important. Acceptability of other opinions and cultures and so on is important. Acceptability of crazy ideas is sometimes important because breakthroughs are created by crazy ideas. Acceptability of crazy ideas can be important. Acceptability of crazy ideas is important to achieve something great. But it takes risk too. It takes risk too. It takes risks too. It runs risks too. It runs risk. It takes a risk too. Which take risks too. Which runs takes too. Risks too. Runs risks too. Acceptability of crazy ideas is important to make breakthroughs, to achieve breakthroughs. Acceptability of crazy ideas is important in order to achieve breakthroughs. Acceptability. 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 Acceptability of doing what we hate is important to grow drastically. Acceptability of failures is important to grow up, to level up. Acceptability of our mistakes is important. Acceptability of our mistakes is important. Acceptability of failures is important to grow. Acceptability of failures is important to grow up. The acceptability of other employees' mistakes made other employees surprised. The boss's acceptability of the employee's mistakes made others surprised. Acceptability. 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 Acceptability of other opinions is important. Acceptability of mistakes is important. Acceptability of the reality can be important. Acceptability of other opinions is important. Acceptability of difficult tasks is sometimes important to grow up. Acceptability of taking on difficult tasks is important to grow up. Sleeping in the dormitory room is acceptable, but I cannot acceptable to hearing the snoring sound. Some parts of your idea is acceptable, but there are also some parts that I cannot be acceptable. Some parts, almost 80% of your idea is acceptable for me, but the rest of the 20% is not acceptable for me. 80% of your idea is acceptable for me, but the rest is not acceptable for me. Being late for the workplace twice is acceptable, but 3 times is not acceptable. 3 times, being late for the workplace 3 times in a row is subject to be laid off. So please bear that in mind. Please take it in mind. Please bear that in mind. Please keep that in mind. Please keep that in mind. Please keep that in mind. Please bear that in mind. I was surprised at the acceptance of my entry into the university. I was surprised at the acceptance of me to the company because I am not competent enough. I'm surprised at the acceptance of me to the company. Acceptance of more immigrants might be accelerated to cover the short of staffed jobs. The acceptance of more immigrants might be accelerated to cover the short staffed jobs. The acceptance of immigrants might be accelerated to cover the short staffed jobs. Given the current situation, the acceptance of new employees will be diminished. Fortunately, the acceptance of foreign tourists started from June, but only with some limitations. FIT is not allowed yet as of July 29th. Only package tour is allowed through travel agency. What do you think of the decreased acceptance of new employees in current situation? What do you think of the reduced acceptance of new employees? Fewer acceptance of new employees indicate the recession. Fewer acceptance of new employees indicates the bad economy. Fewer number of new employees indicates how bad the economy is. Fewer acceptance of new employees indicates the bad economy. Hopefully, my proposal will be accepted at the board of directors today. Hopefully, the bill will be enacted into law, enacted today. Hopefully, the bill will be passed into law today at that session. Hopefully, the bill will be passed into law today. The politician wants to pass the bill into law as soon as possible, as soon. The Diet member wants to pass the bill into law. The bill was passed into law. Finally, I was accepted at the company. Finally, my proposal was accepted. I saw some elderly people walking vigorously. With flashlight outside at night. I saw some elderly people walking vigorously with flashlight at night. I saw some elderly people walking vigorously with flashlight outside at night. I saw some elderly people walking vigorously with flashlight at night. I'd like to commute as vigorously as you, which means I'd like to do what I love. Not many people are commuting vigorously. Vigorously. I was relieved to see my grandfather walking vigorously outside. I was alleviated to see my grandfather walking vigorously outside. I was relieved to see my grandfather eating food vigorously. Were you this kind of person who asks questions vigorously at class? Were you this kind of person who asked the questions to the teacher vigorously? Were you this kind of person who asked many questions vigorously to teachers? Were you this kind of person who asked many questions vigorously at class without hesitation? Were you this kind of person who asked many questions to teachers vigorously without any hesitation? What are you exhibiting? The concert is held in order to exhibit their skills in front of teachers and parents. The concert is held to exhibit their skills in front of parents. to exhibit what they learned during the education. The museum exhibits a wide collection of Buddhist statues. So if you are interested in Buddhist statues, please come in. What does the museum exhibit? 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 There are many exhibits which are very valuable. So do not touch them. Keep away from it. Keep off from it. There are many exhibits which are very valuable, priceless. There are many exhibits which are priceless in the museum, so please be careful. Watch out, look out. I got some qualifications to exhibit my skills. Some people get qualifications to exhibit, demonstrate their skills. People get qualifications to describe their skills. What does the museum exhibit? What does the museum exhibit? The museum exhibits a wide range of Buddhist statues. The museum exhibits a wide collection of paintings, wide selection of calligraphy. The museum exhibits a wide range of paintings, drawings, and other arts. What are you exhibiting? I was so happy to see my art exhibited on the wall. I was so happy to see my art exhibited in the museum. I was so happy to find my art exhibited in the museum. I was so glad to see some of my arts exhibited in the museum. I hope it will last forever. The silent student for the first time exhibited her opinion in the class. The silent student exhibited her opinion for the first time in the class. The ideogram exhibits men. The ideogram exhibits women. The ideogram exhibits water, the current of the river. The ideogram exhibits water. The ideogram exhibits water. The ideogram exhibits water. The ideogram exhibits water. Exhibit. What does the ideogram exhibit? What does what he said exhibit? What does what he said exhibit? What does what he said exhibit? Are you interested in abstract arts? Are you interested in abstract arts? Abstract arts. Are you interested in abstract art? Do you have the interest in abstract arts? Do you have the interest in an abstract art? Some people tend to think things abstractly. Some people are inclined to take things in perspective. Some people are inclined to take things in perspective. Some people are up to take things in perspective. We should take things in a perspective. We should take things in perspective. We should take things in perspective. We should put things in perspective. We should put things in perspective. Some people try to put things in perspective. Some people try to put things in perspective. Did you even put it in perspective? Did you even put your idea in perspective? Did you even put your proposal in perspective? We should put things in perspective. Some people are inclined to think abstractly. Some people are inclined to think abstractly. Some people tend 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 to think abstractly. Abstractly. It is explained abstractly, not concretely. The situation was explained abstractly by the correspondent, not concretely. Now we can all of the things that I can tell you is what I said now abstractly right now for now. I can tell you abstractly for now. I can tell you the information abstractly right now. For now, I can tell you the information abstractly for now. Abstractly. The information was issued abstractly. Abstractly written information is available. Only abstractly written information is available. Only abstractly explained information is available. Abstractly. His explanation was abstractly, not concretely. Abstractly. Okay, I will finish speaking here. Thank you for watching. See you next time. See you.